Welcome to the 5-Year You podcast, a show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself one day at a time. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kat, and we promise to keep it raw, real, and relatable.
Are you ready to grow?
Hey, Five Tribe. Today's episode, as we go through our series of building the new version of you, this one is how to stay consistent when change feels uncomfortable. So at this point in the series, you have gotten to that place where you feel good and you know where you want to be, and then kind of reality comes knocking at your door, and we're going to tackle this one together with you. I'm Andrew. With me always is Kat. How are you doing today, Kat?
I am trying to stay consistent with my habits like everyone else that's listening today.
It's hard some days, isn't it?
It is. It is. And for those just tuning in, the last couple of episodes, you can listen to this one on its own. But if you haven't heard the last couple of episodes, we've been talking about the best ways to build habits, the best ways to choose habits, to stay consistent with habits. And then today we're talking about kind of when it falls off and what to do.
Yeah, this all started at the beginning of the year. I think this is episode 6 of this series of just creating that new version of yourself and how you get clarity and all this stuff. And of course, this is what we coach. But yeah, the habits part is just such an important thing with it all. Yeah, once you have this version of you wanting to change, you're clear, you're excited, you're motivated, and then suddenly it just feels hard. Suddenly doing that thing you thought was going to be the easy thing to do just feels uncomfortable. And sometimes that might be a boundary. It might be a new diet, just might be getting up early. We're helping you through this today. So let's talk about discomfort. The most comfortable thing we can do.
Well, I want to really normalize the experience of discomfort, especially when you're trying to change something about your reality. Because if you think about it, all of the habits that you currently have, all of the experiences that you've had, the circumstances of your life have all created who you are today, what you do today, what time you wake up today. Everything that you do is what made you who you are right now. So if you want to become a different type of person, you have to start doing different kind of things. And like anything, it's very exciting at first. You're feeling good. You're getting up. You're walking extra. The dopamine is hitting. And then sickness comes. Kid breaks something. Your sleep gets off. Work gets really busy. I really want people to have compassion for themselves, because just because you started new habits doesn't mean that life is all of a sudden going to stop lifing,
Yeah, life actually starts lifing a little harder typically when you try to change. I've always reframed it as, this is the test. This is my life going, okay, you say you want to have this income level, this body, this thing, prove it. And that growth, which is what we're all about here, it stretches your identity. And like anything, when you start to grow, your body, which is basically all of your past decisions, is your body kind of just going like, no, I get up at this time, I do this thing, I do this thing. We're just a set of routines, in a meat suit, basically. Once you start changing that, the body goes, okay, that was okay once, but we're going back to the old way, right? And your brain's going, no, we're moving forward. And you're going to have this discomfort, this battle that goes on. So I think, just like you said, normalizing, this is very, very common. In fact, I don't know of anybody who hasn't had this on one level or another. Maybe they're not as conscious of it at times, but once you know it, it helps.
Yeah, your nervous system prefers familiar patterns. We talk about this often on the show, that from an evolutionary standpoint, we are built for safety. Our brains are going to constantly be seeking safety because we're wired for survival to continue the species, right? So now, in this modern, industrialized, tech-focused world where we can go to the store and buy food and get whatever we need pretty much same day, it's weird to your brain for you to change something. Your brain knows that it was doing okay and moving along with the current habits that you had. And anytime you start to do something different, your brain kind of goes on alert. It's why people get nervous before flights. It's why people get nervous before public speaking. It's why you're a little bit stressed because you're switching jobs and you don't know. It's unfamiliar. And the same thing happens even if you're trying to do the slightest thing, like wake up 15 minutes earlier. Your brain is like, high alert. It was safer before, I don't like this. I'm going to fight this because we were surviving before. And to your brain and your evolutionary self, that's the most important thing, is not being the best you, but just being alive. Right.
Yeah.
So we're really going against a lot of different patterns.
Yeah, exactly. And it's important to remember that discomfort doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing something new. And that's a really important thing, because I think when we start feeling that discomfort, we want to change it. We want to escape it. So there's 4 kinds of discomfort. There's emotional, which is you might feel guilty or awkward in it. There's the social, and that one I think is the hardest one I know for me, is when you change and everybody kind of looks at you like, what are you doing? Then there's just that internal discomfort that's, you're so fake, you're so phony, you're just an imposter pretending right now. This isn't you. That voice rings very loud, I think, for all of us, no matter what kind of change we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Physical one, which your brain will get tired from this, right? You're you are doing something new. You are creating a new neural pathway, and it's really uncomfortable. And for you listening right now, as long as you don't have your hands needing to drive something, if you're sitting at home alone, just put your hands together and interlock your fingers. You do it a certain way, the left index fingers on top or the right one. Swap those around right now and sit like that for the rest of the episode, and notice how uncomfortable it is, because I just did it and it's very uncomfortable as I'm saying this. It's just normal. It's a normal part of change.
Yeah, I think you meant your thumb on top, right? Because I was doing it. I was like, wait, my index finger.
Yeah, the thumb is. I was just using that because my thumbs were pointed up because I cut my finger, so I was doing that.
Okay.
For those of you with healed thumbs, yeah.
And just me over here, recovering perfectionist. I want to make sure I do this exactly right, because Andrew just gave us homework and I want to be the best student. Gosh. So,
That you saw that. Wow.
Yeah. I see things all the time. One good reflection question for us and everyone else is, what kind of discomfort shows up for you first? And as we were reading these questions, I caught myself in real time recently. We're always talking on the show how other people are going to give you a hard time when you change. I was FaceTiming with my sister, and I was in my pajamas in my bed, on a Sunday morning. And I talked to her, and she was in the car. She's like, "Oh, I just got out of Pilates." And I was like, "Well, good for you, Miss Pilates," Yeah. And then I was and she kind of made a face, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just did the thing that I hate that other people do. I just gave you a hard time for waking up on a weekend and working out and doing something great for you, because clearly, without me realizing it, it triggered a little something in me that was like, you should be out of your pajamas by now, Catherine. What are you doing?" So I immediately apologized to her, I just did the thing and I did not mean to. I am proud of you for getting up and going to Pilates. So again, we on this show are not coming to you from a high up thing. We are constantly learning and adapting these lessons in real time. I will say the one benefit of having done this work for so long is we have a lot more self-awareness, but we still flub up. So just being H, that came up recently for me.
I appreciate that. That's a good one. And
yeah,
I think we should talk about why most people quit with this discomfort. And because we need to have that awareness of, okay, I'm not doing it anymore. I think a lot of times when we've talked about this, you're creating an identity. You're not creating this goal that you're trying to achieve. You're not trying to achieve perfect workout weeks if it's exercise or anything like that. You're just starting to be somebody who is active. When it comes to people quitting, often the drop-off point will be the excitement fades. Your results aren't immediate, and old patterns start calling. And I think food is the easiest one for all of us to understand, because we've all been on January 1st. We're like, that's it. I'm off, blah, 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 these things. And, and I'm feeling good about it. And it's a new year. And then 3 days later, you get on the scale and nothing's moved and your body feels the same, or a couple of weeks later, whatever it is. And you just go back, and that old way of being is just come to me, my precious. We will take care of you. And this is the identity dip. This is that space where you are shifting, you're crossing the river of change from who you were to who you want to be. And that identity dip is so crucial, because once you know it's happening, you can navigate it. When you don't know it's happening, you label yourself as somebody who just does an X, Y, or Z. And we're here to tell you this is part of that process.
Yeah, a lot of people can get past that it's not exciting anymore. They're like, okay, I just got to do this thing. But a lack of results is one of the hardest things. We see this a lot with our coaching clients. See it a lot with people who want to start a business or be self-employed. And these things just take time. And it's even more challenging to get through now, because of the instant gratification that we're all so used to. I mean, when we were kids, we went to Blockbuster, and if they didn't have Clueless, you couldn't check out Clueless. You had to pick a different movie, right? You had to go, and it was really sad, and a little Blockbuster, rectangle was there instead of Clueless for you to pick up. So now you're thinking of a joke in your head. I see it. I see it forming.
It's there.
But now we can watch an entire season of a show in one night. And so we've gotten really, really used to instant gratification, but things still take the same amount of time. There's still a healthy amount of time to lose weight. There's still a healthy amount of time to build muscle, to build a business, to declutter your house, to do whatever it is you need to do. These things just take time, unfortunately.
They do. They take time. For you Gen Zs that are listening, Blockbuster is something that happened before streaming, before Netflix and all our wonderful streaming services, where you had to exert patience and wait sometimes weeks to see a movie that you wanted to that had been out forever because everybody else was getting that tape. See, movies used to be on tape, but now they're streamed. Just in case our kids are listening at some point, it's like, this is actually how it used to be when I was your age.
Yeah.
The middle is always messier than the beginning. The beginning's easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy to start. The middle is where the money is made. The middle is messy, it's hard, and it's a challenge. And it's unstable, it's uncertain. You can feel lonely, you can question and have all this doubt, but it's normal. And we want to normalize this process for you, listener, because when you know this is the steps, it's easier to go across. I wrote an article once about crossing the river of change. It was a little parable. And, those things that trip you up in the beginning, the things that tell you to go back to the shore of who you were, eventually become the things that empower you to become who you're going to become. And I can't really phrase it better than that, than taking 20 minutes to read that whole parable, but yeah.
We can link to it for sure in the show notes. It's a good one. I'm trying to think, can you think of a time? I feel like we're constantly tweaking and doing things, but can you think of a time where you were in the messy middle and then you kind of pulled through and it got more natural?
Yeah, lots of times. Let's do the food one for us, because that was a big one, and it was really hard at the same time. So we read a couple of books about controlling inflammation. We both realized that eating the standard American diet was not good for us. We weren't getting enough nutrients. So we decided that we were going to change our way of eating. And it sounded really good on paper. We're going to have salads. We're going to have chicken. We're not going to have refined sugar. We're not going to have wheat, or anything like that. All these things that we knew would make us inflamed. And that was really good in the beginning. Then we had to make meals for ourselves and look up meals and actually enjoy eating this food. And that was how many months would you say that was for us?
I don't know. 6 months maybe.
Yeah, 6 months of finding things that actually tasted good, of things that were okay, of burning things. I once tried making nachos and forgot about them and almost burnt down the condo complex that I'm in. That was fun. But, messy middle is going to happen.
You use different kind of like chips and cheese when you're like going gluten-free and dairy-free. And so we were making nachos the way we always had. And yeah, Andrew almost burnt down the whole building. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. He legit, there was fire.
Yeah. So, I can think of a messy middle. Yeah, that one comes to mind pretty quickly. And in those moments, I could have very easily said like, this is too hard. This isn't meant for us. We're not supposed to do this. I should be feeling better right now. My waist is not any smaller than it is. In fact, I feel like, I'm retaining water because my body doesn't know what the heck's going on right now. But I stuck it through, and I knew that there was a light at the other end of the tunnel. The books kind of alluded to this. I found, YouTubers and other podcasts of people talking about going through this anti-inflammatory diet. And on the other side of this was a mental clarity that I had never had before. Like the fog lifted, the energy became so much more profound, and everything got a lot better. But yeah, that middle part was so messy. And fiery, for the lack of a better word.
Dangerous. We made it through. But all that to say is that real change, it takes real time. I mean, there's a reason we're called 5-year you and not like 5-minute you. Like, we acknowledge that these things take time. Your body, your brain, everything has to really adapt. And we sort of stand as a counter to a lot of the, get rich quick overnight type things that are so pervasive now online and on social media.
Yeah, it's giving yourself permission kind of helps you with the emotional process of going through this. And that's something that we were going to talk about next, building that emotional tolerance. And when we talk about that, as we alluded to with this last change, there's going to be a delay. There's going to be discomfort. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to question your sanity depending on what the change is. And as the old you falls away, you're cultivating this new you that's coming out. And you need to be gentle with that person. You need to be gentle with this new identity. This new identity is days old. It's a baby. And when you can have that emotional tolerance of going, you know what, I'm grumpy on day 3 because I haven't had sugar in 3 days and my body is raging right now because it's so used to it. You just need to be aware, like, this is just part of the process. Having that idea that this is just part of the gig and kind of moving with it.
Yeah. What we're really trying to highlight is that it's not necessarily consistency and discipline that makes habits stick, although those are very important. It's really about tolerance and self-compassion. Are you going to be kind to yourself when things fall off or when things get hard? And are you going to come back to it? Can you tolerate the doubt? Can you handle the discomfort? Can you deal with the frustration that comes with the delays and that these things take time? Can you handle being misunderstood by the people in your life who you may crave their approval? And it is the people that can manage all of those emotions that are more likely to be successful rather than someone that can just put their head down and go from a pure discipline standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reflection I want you guys to have as you listen to this is, what would it look like to stay 5% consistent instead of 100% perfect, which is really the sticking point I know for both of us. We think we have to do it perfectly. And now you have to give yourself that permission to fail. You're going to fail, or you are going to go get a chocolate bar at some point, or you're going to sleep in, or you're going to yell at your kids when you haven't had enough sleep. You're human. You're not perfect. That is the one thing I know about every human on this planet. We are not perfect, but we're beautiful.
I like that. Yeah. So here are a few tips and strategies. Have the vision of what you're trying to do, of who you're trying to be, of how you're trying to look, of how you want your business to work. Have just a very, very clear vision of that 5-year you. And we don't want to shrink that vision, but for now, kind of drop the bar a bit on what you think is required to get there. It might not be as much as you think. It is that pressure to be perfect, to do, the 20 things on your New Year's resolution list that makes people give up. So choose one strategy at a time.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. New habits take 6 weeks to form, depending on what you're doing. It varies by the science and definitely the person. I think once you have that change, that's really important. The next one is build up your return speed. Like missing's normal. It's normal to be sick and throwing up and not go for your morning run. Nobody should be doing that, in my opinion. But it's how quickly you get back. That's where your power is. Returning to the new identity is your power. And the more you do that, the more consistent you can be with returning, the better it is. It's a really important one.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of people say, you can miss one day, but don't miss 2. You might be someone who can miss the weekend, miss 2 days, but not 3, always get back to it. You can make your own rules. There's no specific way, but there are, others, other leaders, other life coaches that say, try not to skip 2 days in a row when you're working on something.
Yeah. I like that. Another one is just to expect resistance. Another one is to just expect resistance. It's anticipated. We've been talking about this the whole episode. When you can expect that resistance, it's not going to stop you. It's just going to be like a line on the road that you're like, oh, there's that line that I knew I was going to pass. Okay, now it's coming. How am I going to handle it? I've mentally prepared for this. And the more you can anticipate those things and then feel your way through them and just kind of give yourself grace as you move forward, the easier it will be.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Being realistic going into it. I think self-awareness, like we said, it is the emotional aptitudes that you have that are really going to get you to the finish line versus the discipline. Even if you're trying to build a small business or something like that, you expect it'll be hard. Expect that, you're going to be tired if you're trying to start a business outside of a full-time job, whatever it is that you want to do. But it's kind of like sometimes if you expect it going into it and then it's not as bad as you thought, you're like, oh, wait, I kind of like this, or it's kind of fun. And oh my gosh, I made my first sale. And I was expecting to make my first sale for a month and I did it like 10 days in. Like sometimes you can surprise yourself, but it's kind of that thing is like, prepare yourself mentally for it to be challenging. And then it might not be as bad as you think.
Love that. Yeah, absolutely. The next one about staying consistent with all of this is just anchor to your why. Know why you've started this journey and write it down. Put it on your refrigerator, put it somewhere in the morning so you can see the thing you're doing and why you are doing it. Because when you keep revisiting that image of who you want to be and what that person feels like and what they do, you strengthen the pathways in your brain, but you also you start to embody it more, and that vision of yourself gets easier to embody. So if you're somebody who has always been an employee and you're starting a business, you're self-employed, and every little challenge that comes up, you're like, no, I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want to be my own boss. I want to choose my own hours and I want to help people in the way I can help them. The more you ground back into that on a daily basis, the better you're going to feel as you move forward.
I like that. The last one, this is something we had to learn, full disclosure, is to celebrate your small wins. Andrew and I, we used to be so bad at this. Like we're both push through kind of people. We're like, oh yeah, that was a good day, a good sales day. Andrew and I have known each other a long time and we've run a lot of different businesses together. And we'd be like, oh yeah, that was our biggest sale day ever. Cool. All right, what are we going to do tomorrow? We just wouldn't celebrate anything. And so now we try to be a lot better about it. And shockingly, when you have little wins to celebrate, it goes better. Andrew told me that we could have barbecue if we perked up. We did 2 episodes in a row today. We recorded, and so I'm like, yeah, I want that barbecue. See, that's a little win.
Barbecue always works. Yeah, like celebrating the boring wins. Consistency is going to feel unexciting because it's like, yay, you did the same thing you did yesterday. And it's like, no, you did the same thing you did yesterday. You were not doing that a year ago. This is a big deal. Appreciate it. Love yourself. Celebrate it. Your future self is built in quiet, repetitive moments, not the dramatic breakthroughs. You are a stone cutter. You are going to go to that stone. You're going to hammer on it every day, nauseam, basically. And then when it breaks open, yeah, that's going to be great. But celebrate every swing that you take at that rock because it's worth celebrating. You are doing something amazing that most people don't do, and it deserves to be celebrated every day.
Love that. All right. Well, this is let's summarize everything we've talked about. So when you start trying to do your habits and you have this vision of the 5-year you that you're working on, you're going to have a mental spiral from time to time. You're going to be like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this isn't for me. Why are these other people who started at the same time as me doing so much better? Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I shouldn't try this. What we're trying to say in this episode is that having all of those doubts is 100% normal. And it does not mean that you're off path. It just means that your identity is updating and shifting, and having that self-doubt is really just self-awareness, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. So you want to stay the course. That's just knowing that there is a gap between who you are and where you want to be and who you want to be. There is an identity dip in the middle. It's messy in the middle. It's very normal. Adopt the mantra, I will not quit, or I will stay the course. Personally, I will stay the course, and it will get easier. But when you know that you have the adversity coming to you, it's easier to rise with it.
I think that's a really good place to stop.
Yeah. All right. So we're introducing a new part to our show. Catherine and I, we love a good thrift find. This is something that is our hobby, and we just, because it's us, we like to find these things, then we flip them on, Marketplace or eBay or whatnot. Because I'm introducing the segment, Catherine, you get to talk about the find of the week.
Okay. I'm like, I think we already talked about that one. I Well, this week I only had 10 minutes in between the twins' sports practices. It's like, you know what? There's a Goodwill like in between swimming and my son's workout place. I'm like, I'm going to go in. I only have 10 minutes. I'm going to see what I can find. And I went and I just on the wall spotted this hat that looked super expensive. And I picked it up. And sure enough, I've never heard of the brand before. It was like Janessa Rose or something like that. And it was like a $500 hat. You know, everybody can do with their money what they want. You know, props to you, but like, wow, I would have never bought a $500 hat. Purse, yes. Hat, no. But anyways, I digress. Very excited. It was $3. So we're probably going to be listing that on eBay this upcoming week. But that was my thrift find of the week. I know it seems counterintuitive, but this is our hobby and this brings us joy. We don't drink or smoke, you guys. This is our dopamine, okay?
This is where we get our cheap
thrills
hits from. That's awesome. Okay. And what is your glimmer? What is the thing that lit you up this week? It can be the hat if you want to, but if there's something else that's kind of lighting you up, we would love to hear about it.
You know, I was really proud of our youngest. She had a swim meet this weekend, and for the first time ever, she got first place in a race. And we always tell her, like, it's about the effort, and she works so hard. She swims every single night, and she really pushes herself. But, like, we want to praise the effort, not the result. But the result was really cool. I have to acknowledge that she was just glowing and so excited. I was really happy for her.
I love that. It's a very proud moment. That is awesome. I love that.
What about you?
Oh, my glimmer for the week is just, you know what, getting back into the studio. I think I said this last time, but it's been like 2 weeks since we recorded and it just feels so nice. And I'm really proud that we're going to get barbecue because I have been craving barbecue.
Yeah.
So
I'm ready.
I'm really happy.
Will work for barbecue.
Yeah. Love it. So yeah, that's just it. I just, it always puts a smile on my face to record an episode. And I know we're reaching people and we're helping so many people. It's so nice. Next time, we're going to be talking about what to do when other people don't support this new vision of yourself and how to navigate that. And before we go, just remember, consistency isn't about intensity. It's about staying the course. We hope you stay the course and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, quick disclaimer. We're podcasters on the internet. If you need to seek professional help, please go see your healthcare professional.